All right, music fans, welcome back. It is I, Dave, the real music observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you and just like me. Since people really don't care about Little River Band trolls and people who have nothing, seriously, nothing better to do with their lives than bash the current lineup of the Little River Band, which, by the way, contains Wayne Nelson, a guy who lost his daughter in a car accident. And they continue to just bash on this man mercilessly when he's experienced a tragedy in his own life of like epic proportions, and nobody seems to care or mention that at least leave the guy alone. Try to empathize with the things he's been through, and just leave this stupid argument about the original band and this band and people. It's almost like you want to stand in the way of someone having a good time because they're supposedly so ignorant. So I have to cure them of their ignorance, and I have to shout louder, and I have to take content that doesn't belong to me, which that's what these people are doing, using my talent and my resources, which, whether you like me or not, that's what you're doing, okay? And it's pathetic, and it should be embarrassing to you, but it's not, which shows you have no morals or shame. Okay, I'm done with that little rant. On to Styx. Let's talk about Styx, the band, and the big interview, which I covered a lot because I thought the big interview was a big problem. There's a point in the interview where these guys voluntarily start busting on Dennis DeYoung. It's just bizarre behavior, if you ask me. JY at one point is like, well, Dennis doesn't like to tour. And I'm just sitting there going, have you noticed Dennis DeYoung has been touring now for a long time? Now, there are some people out there, by the way, much like the LRB trolls, who wish that I would stop talking about Dennis DeYoung. And why don't I like this current lineup of Styx? Why? Okay, let's summarize why I don't like the current lineup of Styx. Number one, Tommy Shaw seems to be a prima donna diva, okay? Criticizing Dennis for all of these ballads back in the day, but yet one of his biggest tunes of all time is a tune called High Enough, which is a power ballad. Let's be honest. It's a rockin' power ballad, but it's a ballad. Okay, that's one of his biggest tunes of all time. Now, if you're going to say, well, that was with Damn Yankees, and you got Ted Nugent, you got... Okay, well, he's hanging around with the dude from Night Ranger. Remember him? Jack Blades. And Jack Blades and Night Ranger, they had a song called Sister Christian. Pretty big song. Kind of a power ballad, right? So, look, so let me get back to the rest of why I don't like this lineup. If you're going to replace Dennis DeYoung, you should have replaced him with somebody who sounds like Dennis DeYoung. There are guys out there. Mark Shearer, look him up. Google it. Toby Hitchcock, Google it. Look it up. All right? Two awesome replacements for Dennis DeYoung. Instead, they went with this Canadian guy who sounds nothing like Dennis DeYoung, who just, and by the way, they used to get on Dennis for being kind of a showman and all this sort of schmaltzy stuff he does on stage. Well, Dennis never had to spin his keyboard around to be taken seriously or to entertain the audience. He just is entertaining. All right? And that's why I don't like the current lineup. You replaced a legend with a guy who's not even close. And you've got a guy who seems to be criticizing someone else for doing things that he has dabbled in himself. In this big interview, they all get up and they're like, well, Dennis doesn't like to tour. And that was, to me, that was like the frosting on the cake. Dennis doesn't like to tour. Okay, he had the light sensitivity thing. You watch, again, and it's the same, it's like the Steve Perry thing. It's like all the band members are like, what are we going to do? You know, Steve broke his hip. What are we going to do? Dennis has light sensitivity. And he's copping out. He's telling us now that he just doesn't want to tour. How about he doesn't want to tour until he figures out, because, you know, the light sensitivity thing might be a problem with all those bright concert lights blaring at you. And not only that, all of these flashing, flickering lights that are at concerts. I mean, okay, not a big deal. Dennis's health, not a big deal. Let's just go and tour. You know, Styx was dead for a number of years, and then all of a sudden, they get out there and they do some, and that wasn't enough. And why were they successful? Because they had Dennis back in the fold. That's why they were successful. Sure, they've gone out every summer. They've been paired with all of these other acts, and people see Styx. They own the name, and that goes a long way to selling it. But I'm sure there are a few people that are wondering, hey, who's that dude on the keyboard? That doesn't sound like Come Sail Away. That's not right. So anyway, to wrap this video up, it appears that Dennis DeYoung doesn't like to tour, according to current lineup of Styx. And the trolls right now are irritating me. You know, my last video where I did my LRB update, you can check out that video. That has a lot of details on how to reach these people and how to like talk to them and maybe just overwhelm them, and maybe they'll go away. So far it hasn't worked because, I don't know, it's, I guess, because if you don't have anything to do with your life, this is what you do, and you just keep doing it, all right? And then I'm a target, my family's a target, my kids are a target. Just, it's just insane. And all I do is I make videos about rock music, okay? This isn't political, this isn't the end of the earth, this isn't like social upheaval or turmoil. This is about music. And if you don't agree, what you can do is you can go start your own channel, or you can turn this channel off. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant thing. You hit the button just like this. Watch.